Welcome back to day 3 of 10 solos in 10 days. Today we have a solo from the Rush classic Natural Science off of Permanent Waves. This is one of my favorite Rush songs, and this is a very cool solo. Short, but it has a lot of really awesome ideas, so let's get into it. The solo starts like this. What's happening here is a bunch of natural harmonics that are kind of following the chord progression. Now the chords underneath, they play right before the solo too, with guitar. It's like B, really just a B power chord, but I'm thinking of it as like B minor. And then B over A, and then C over G, and then D over A. Now, when the solo kicks in, it's just bass and drums underneath, so the harmony's kind of more implied at that point. And Geddy is a very busy bass player, so sometimes what's happening is a little ambiguous as far as the tonality goes. But the guitar here at the beginning is playing that over the B, right? So on the B string, then over the A, he's playing on the A string, then over the G in the bass, he's playing on the G string, and this final chord, D, playing those notes, which is over D, that'd be like a sharp 4, and then the 5th and the root. So he's really following these chords with the harmonics, and he's using the strong harmonics here. The 5th fret, 7th fret, and 12th fret. Those are your strongest harmonics. And then in one spot, he uses the 4th to get a different note. So from here, he's going to move to the B minor pentatonic over this same progression. Just treating this like a blues rock player would do. Just play the pentatonic scale over top of this moving chord progression, and then it moves to the second half of the solo. The chord progression under the second half of the solo is very similar to the first half, except we're up a full step. So we have C sharp, really like C sharp minor, and then B, kind of hearing it as B minor, and then A, and then E. The E might have a G sharp on the bottom. Once again, Geddy's moving around a lot, so it's a little bit hard to tell. It's kind of implied harmony. But whatever is happening here, Alex is in C sharp minor here. Really more like C sharp Phrygian at the beginning, but he's kind of living in this C sharp minor pentatonic area. And it starts with this fast picking run. So this is all right out of C sharp Phrygian. That's kind of what leads me to believe that's what's happening with the chords underneath. I have this tabbed as straight 16th notes, but it's kind of a little more messy than that. That's one thing about guitar playing from this time period. Alex was very inspired by Jimmy Page and those type of players who, when they're playing fast, it's not always the cleanest thing in the world. And so to modern ears where we're used to really hyper technical guitar playing that's like really precise and also sometimes really edited, it's kind of weird to hear these sorts of things, but it's almost this sort of idea. It's like, I'm going to move my fingers and pick this fast, and it's going to be in sync for the most part, but sometimes not exactly, because if you slow it down, it's not, inhumanly perfectly clean. Right, even that is probably cleaner than Alex would have played it. But with enough distortion and in this rock context, it sounds really cool. So that's what's happening there. And from here, he moves into some more blues pentatonic ideas, or minor scale ideas, but in the pentatonic shape, right? And then the next part here over this same chord progression is this tapping bending lick. So we're bending up to C sharp, and then we're tapping the 15th fret, which gives us the note E. So when you're doing this bending tapping stuff, which is really cool, something I do myself fairly often, you have to make sure you're tapping the right note that you want to hear. It's not going to be the same as what you're visually seeing, right? I'm trying to hit this note on the 17th fret, but I have to tap 15 to get it. So just be aware of that if you're doing this sort of thing. Might have to tap a different fret than you'd think to get the sound you want. But he's bending up, tap, release the tap, bend down. And that's the whole lick. And this is following that same rhythm from earlier. Now he doesn't re-strike the note either when he starts the bend again. Then you tap 19, release the bend while still tapping, and then pull off to 17. Now he might actually re-strike that last note, I'm not sure. But that's how that lick works. Very cool. And then from here, it moves to the end of the solo. And the solo ends with this lick that fades out. Here it's moving to E minor, so we've started in B minor, then C sharp, and now E. Pretty simple progression. The rhythm part is something like that fades in. It's just following a simple progression in E minor. It's like E minor, C, D, G over B, C, D. And this lead line is following that. And that ends off the solo. So this is a really cool solo overall. You have a bunch of different techniques happening. You have some different key centers. You've got the bending and the tapping. You have some fast runs in there, some pentatonic blues-based stuff, the harmonics. All of these things that I would consider to be staples of Alex's lead playing, all in one little solo. So if you want to kind of dive into his lead playing a little bit, I think this solo is a good place to start. Here's my cover of the solo again, this time with the tabs on screen. So there you have it, a classic Rush solo for day 3 of 10 solos in 10 days. I love Rush, one of my favorite bands of all time, and I think so far I've done Rush in every single one of these 10 whatever in 10 days series, so I'm going to have to continue that tradition. But if you enjoyed this solo, please look out for the next one tomorrow. I'll be back for day 4 of 10 solos in 10 days. Until then, subscribe, hit the bell notification, like, comment, share, all of that. And I'll see you tomorrow. You stay proggy.